Hey guys, pretty cold and dreary day here today, but we still have some work to do. So we finally cut up these tenons. These three have those cuts on the other side. But today we got to clean these up, and hopefully we're going to get to the mortises as well. So the mortises are a little bit less effort because it's all just the machine. So we're going to start off by cleaning these tenons, and I'm going to show you how I use a slick, chisel, and the plane to do this. Yeah, you can use a hand plane to clean up these faces. So I use a jack plane. You could also use a smoothing plane, but the jack plane tends to work pretty well. So this is a technique that I didn't really use until I went to Mr. Chickadee's class, and yeah, no, it works. It's spot on. So it's definitely good for getting that tenon cheek to be just right. All right, let's get to work. All right, guys. So this is going to be my reference face right here. So this is my reference edge, and this is going to be the first face that we work on to get cleaned up. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this back edge with my chisel. And I'm going to separate the fibers all the way down to the line. So you can see there's a faint line over here, and that's what we're working towards. We're going to get this face down flush to this line, and then there's a line on this face, so we're going to make it flat in this direction and in that direction, and as smooth as we can make it. Alright, so now I'm going to switch over to the slick, and pretty much what I'm going to do is just take slices off of it. And the slick is for removing large amounts of material without hitting it. So just take it like this, brace it against my hip. So now I'm getting pretty close to my line, so I'm going to start checking where it's actually highest. So I put my combination square, and I can tell through looking at the gaps where it's actually touching. So right there, still right there, some here, and then I know that I have a lot of material to remove right around here. Let's see what the case is. Yeah, so it's all here. So now I'm going to start using the jack plane. The jack plane is used to remove material from this side up until before you exit the piece of wood. If you take the plane across, you risk tearing out on the other side. Then, you know, in most cases you're going to do some sort of reduction, so it wouldn't really matter except that you have your line on the opposite side. So if you get rid of your line, then you're having to kind of guess where it is. So when you take your plane, let the blade only go all the way up to where the wood just barely exits, and then lift it. And that's going to remove material from this face up until there. Then the same thing, if you want to remove material from this face to here, then you take the plane from here to there. And let's say this tool is actually pretty fascinating as well because it lets you remove material just from the center. So if you need to do that, you set your plane, you start it just after where the wood starts, take off your material and lift it. And the same thing. So we're going to be doing that sort of operation and to level this guy up. And so because I don't have a rebate planer, I can't get all the way in that corner over there, so I have to go back to the chisel and work that material. So as you can see, these parts over here are deep, but this is shallow in the center. So I have a big hump in the center, so I'm going to use the plane to do that. Like I said, I'm going to put the plane here, start like this, take off material, and lift it up. So now we flip this guy around and do the other face. Now the interesting thing about this second side of the tenon is that we're not going to be using the combination square to see if it's actually good. We're going to be using a tenon gauge. So this tenon gauge is 1.5 inches wide. So it's 3D printed, which means it does change and give a little bit. But overall, if you have a little bit of resistance, that means that this tenon is not going to go smoothly into the mortise. So I could see that I need to take off a little bit right here, and there's still part of the line right here, so let's get that taken down. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now I'm encountering some resistance on this side. And there we go. It's a little tight, but with some persuading, that'll go. Alright guys, so I have all the joinery laid out for the mortises, the braces, and the mortises on the reference face, which are the top sides. All I have to do now is sever the fibers on the exit side of the chain mortiser. And what I mean by that is that right here we're going to have a mortise, and the chain mortiser, if you don't know what it does, it's a chain and it spins this way. The blades come out in this direction, and just like a chainsaw, that means that that's going to cause tear out. So what we have to do is sever the fibers right here so that when that chain comes up, it doesn't take the rest of the wood with it. So I get as close as I can to the line, angle my chisel because the chisel is going to start to go downward. So what I do is I set the bevel to be angled downward, and then that'll be just about where I need it. In reality, it doesn't need to be super precise. And I'm going to do that for every single mortise. And it's just on one side. You don't need to do it all around, because the chain mortiser cuts pretty cleanly on all the other faces except on that exit side. So I just want to show you guys what this mortise looks like. So you can see there's that piece of wood right there in between. So that's, with this chain being 15 millimeters, that's how you need to cut this mortise. If you leave any less material in the middle there, that means that the back and the front are not exactly 1.5 inches wide. So our chisel is 1.5 inches wide, and it just slides in there. It's not super loose, it wobbles a little bit, but it's great. And then also, our square is exactly 1.5 inches wide. So you can see it's in there a little bit tighter. If it deviates any from the vertical, it's going to be super tight. So all I got to do is clean up the cheeks a little bit. And the reason you got to do that is because that chisel is round, so the bottom edges are round. So I can go ahead and get my chisel in here. I'm going to do both sides. There you go. So now to see if it actually works, we're going to get the tenon that goes in here. So here we go. This is one of the pieces that fits into this mortise. Perfect. So I'm almost done for the day. I did quite a bit today, so I cleaned up 4 tenons, and I'm working on the mortises as well. So this machine is an absolute workhorse. It's done 4 mortises to the exact size that I need them in a matter of 20 minutes. So I have 4 more mortises to go. I anticipate it's probably going to be another 20 minutes, and maybe clean them up tomorrow. I'm hoping to get the reductions completed on these guys and then to get started on the posts. Good productive day. See you guys tomorrow.